My name is Van King. Today's topic is Franklin Ogdensburg minerals, a tale of micromounts, fluorescence, gems, giant crystals, and species. Calcite, and this is a particularly nice cluster, doubly terminated crystals, and we will be thinking of using this as the cover photo for the book. It has the advantage of having fluorescence, small crystals, being a common mineral, calcite, and with that, it should have a lot of eye appeal. The white light version of this is next, and we see the same orientation of the specimen, and it obviously wouldn't make an interesting cover. Calcite, however, is actually fairly scarce in crystallized form. Most of it is massive. Here's an interesting one with two different kinds of rhombohedral faces and the scalenihedron. If there is any kind of common shape of calcite, this may be the most available of any that you can get from the district. It's from the Sterling mine, and these are crystals that are almost wedge-shaped in appearance. They have a rhombohedron on the top, very low angle, and a termination on the bottom, also a low-angle rhombohedron. The matrix is franklinite, black. Associated with calcite, you may find a number of other species that look too much like it to call attention to themselves. The creamy yellow mineral on the right is calcite. The triangular minerals, which may look sort of like rhombohedra of calcite, are actually the rare boroarsenate called Cahnite. The identification of these can be aided by fluorescent light. It's the same specimen in same orientation, and the calcite is fluorescing a little bit stronger on the right-hand side of a creamy yellow, and the crystals on the left are a little more subdued, but still a kind of white coloration. When I was trying to get a good selection of Cahnite, I was very much surprised. I photographed the white light specimen, and when I put the ultraviolet light on it, it fluoresced green. Well, Cahnite was not supposed to do that. And it turns out that the inclusions of willemite inside of the Cahnite were responsible for this response. You can see that willemite is not present in the lower portion of the specimen, and it is fluorescing slightly in a creamy white, pale blue, maybe slightly purplish fluorescence. Cahnite, though, is known for having twins. And this particular specimen shows white Cahnite on top of rhodonite, and the central cluster has what looks like an X-shaped intergrowth. If we were to look at that in normal perspective, twist the specimen around, that X would actually be a perfect cross. Cahnite can be a matrix, which is kind of surprising because most of the people think of it as a target mineral. This is a close-up of a specimen that shows, yes, you can see the triangular crystal shape of the Cahnite. It is kind of stained a slightly tan color, and on it, all around the lower central portion of it and up through the central right, there are these varying colors of flaky crystals that are divergent. They range from olive green through brown color, and that is the rare mineral flinkite. And say, great, a rare mineral on top of a rare mineral. However, I also have to point out that the most interesting species on this specimen is Johannsenite, and they are nearly black. You can see crystals in the upper left and the center and center right, where there are pseudohexagonal crystals with sort of orange peel texture, much like the etched willemites I showed before. Johannsenite is known only from Franklin, New Jersey. And this entire assemblage is characteristic of how you find that species. The entire specimen is featured on the right-hand side of this slide. It shows a slightly different color illumination, so it looks less creamy color, and it shows one additional species that is incredibly rare for Franklin. Not only is Johannsenite incredibly rare, but in the center you see some light gray botryoidal material, which is hydrohausmanite. The picture on the left shows close-ups of more of the flinkite crystals, and at this illumination they do not look red-brown, they look olive-green. Some of the species that are very interesting do different things. Axonite is one of them. Axonite MN can be read in shortwave ultraviolet light. There is a very prominent red color. It is with green willemite, a pervasive mineral. It has a golden yellow to orange mineral on the base of clinohedrite, and on the very right-hand side there is a slightly fluorescing blue mineral called hardystonite. The specimen shows red axonite as well, shows the green willemite, but it also shows bluish-white traces of margarosonite, a relatively rare and very much appreciated mineral in the Franklin district. Both of these specimens are from Franklin. I told you a little bit about axonite as a hand specimen, but it also occurs in microcrystals that are very interesting. This specimen shows lots of manganaxonite, yellow, on this vein surface with plenty of rhodonite and clear willemite crystals. You've seen some of the close-ups of this particular vein before, but I'm going to show you a close-up of the left-hand side central portion. There's a large manganaxonite in that place. And this is what it looks like. It's about 5 millimeters tall. It shows a pearly luster in this orientation, and these particular crystals are in almost parallel growth. Continuing with the axonite associations, but with some other interesting species, this is a specimen that has 3 species that were found first at Franklin, New Jersey. The grayish-colored dominant mineral in the lower portion of the specimen is Johannsenite, the manganese-rich member of the diopside association or family. The orange is Axonite MN, and we'll get a close-up of the brownish crystals of hancockite. The Johannsenite is typically fibrous. It occurs as an overgrowth on rhodonite. The white botryoid in the upper right-hand corner is calcite. Very interesting association. Johannsenite is actually very rare at Franklin and occurs in 2 different major ways. This is the one that is easiest to identify. The axonite is beautiful. Among some of the largest crystals of axonite MN in the world occur at this location. It was first found at Franklin. And this specimen also shows not only the Johannsenite, fibrous crystals around it, the pink matrix of rhodonite that they're on top of, but there are dark brown to almost black crystals of hancockite, both in the center left as well as the extreme left, where they're actually a little bit more red. Some of you may say, wait a minute, I thought hancockite was named epidote PB. It was for a short period of time. Olav Revheim and myself wrote a proposal to the International Mineralogical Association saying that the renaming of these species were disservice to the history of science. They agreed, and they reverted the minerals back to hancockite, and they also reverted tweddellite and niigataite, other members of the epidote group. I'm going to show you some more pictures to encourage you to see part 3. This is a crystal drawing of Cahnite. If you want a copy of Charles Palachi's professional paper 180, you're very familiar with this crystal drawing. Full thing, and you might be asking yourself, is this really what Cahnite crystals look like when they are twinned? Well, we have a picture of the original crystal from which this drawing was inspired. It's about 3 centimeters across and one of the best twins ever found. Cahnite is tetragonal, and it looks somewhat triangular. And when it forms twins, it makes crosses, showing where one crystal intersects another one. The actual crystal is still at Harvard University, and we were favored to be able to photograph it. This is the same crystal under shortwave ultraviolet light. It fluoresces quite cleanly, a light creamy white, because it has only a few small patches of green fluorescing willemite as inclusions. This series of Franklin Mineral Talks features images that will be in the book Mineralogy of Franklin and Ogdensburg, New Jersey. a photographic celebration. The publisher of the book is the Franklin Mineral Museum of Franklin, New Jersey. Thank you again for watching Part 2. Be sure to like and subscribe so that you will be notified of all parts of this series as they appear, as well as new programs about minerals, crystals, and nature. Again, don't forget to click like and subscribe. Search for our programs at NEWRYQs, NEWRYQS. That's an abbreviation for Newry Quarries, a place in Maine. The one thing that we need to ask you about is if there's any way that you would be willing to give us some money, because that's always the sales pitch. It's going to cost about $25,000 to print the book. We don't have that money. I hope that you would click on the PayPal link, and even if you send us $1, if 20,000 people did that, we would have $20,000. So whatever you can send, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much.